It's almost like looking through a refracted mirror. When you see things from outside, from a different perspective, it sometimes helps you see what you're missing right in front of your face. It's important to establish a Global Humanities Center at this particular moment at Tulane because it's a moment when we need to forward or center two important concepts, the humanities and the global perspective on them. Why the humanities? The humanities bring a different set of approaches and ways of asking questions that other disciplines don't always get at. So for me to think about the global humanities means to take some of the core questions of the humanities and look at them from outside, from inside, from across in a multiplicity of approaches. What makes the Tulane Global Humanities Center distinct is actually embedded in this word global, which for me indicates a couple different things at once. On the one hand, we're looking at the Gulf South region that we're in. Tulane is located, of course, in New Orleans, and New Orleans is a much more complicated city than many people appreciate. It is a global port city itself. It is a part of Latin America. It's a part of the Caribbean. Of course, it's a great and important city historically for the United States. And to think about New Orleans as a global city is to look at all of these different vectors and these trajectories that it has historically and in the present. Global also refers to places far beyond the shores of the United States and Latin America across the world. And in that sense, too, the Global Humanities Center looks comparatively in very different frameworks. So for us, global humanities can mean a global approach to the Gulf South, to the region that we live in, and also a comparative approach globally in places far afield from where we are. The Tulane Global Humanities Center, which was inaugurated this past fall, decided to launch biennial themes. So for the next 2 years, we're focusing on our first, global port cities. Why global port cities as an inaugural theme? To focus on the port city in different parts of the world is to take the question of how cities relate to each other and to the nations that they're a part of from a different angle. In some ways, port cities are exceptional to the nations that they're a part of, and scholars in a variety of fields have been looking at the water that connects land masses as a new approach to thinking about global histories and local histories. New Orleans, as a port city, is animated in so many different ways by the connections it has to other port cities, either through trade, through immigration or migration patterns, or through connections through in cultural ways. And so New Orleans itself is always, from the beginning, a very complex place. To look at it in the present in all of the very many ways that creative expression finds itself here, whether it's our parade cultures, our culinary traditions, our musical traditions, etc., we really believe comes from and is embedded in this understanding of the city as a port city. It turns out that this is true in a lot of other port cities around the world as well, whether it's Tangier, Morocco, an international city well before it was a part of the nation of Morocco, Dakar, Senegal. These are places that have brought many different peoples and traditions together for centuries. One of the goals of the Tulane Global Humanities Center through our outreach is to stage conversations, to bring people here to engage with scholars and artists and cultural workers here in New Orleans in ways that will help seed and inspire the work that's happening in other port cities and other global cities around the world. Bringing together, calling together, convoking these minds to listen to and be in conversation with each other. A key element to all of our events, and we'll see it in the symposium we're hosting, over and over we're staging conversations between a scholar and an artist, an architect and a historian, an anthropologist, and a painter. Because it's at the moment of conversation, the moment of dialogue, that the creativity often comes out, the surprise moment comes out. It's really an event, and symposia are different from published books or collections of essays. Sometimes those come out of symposia, but the real energy is going to happen in the room.